Hey folks, in today's first video we're going to be covering the 1.12.4 changelog for Crusader Kings 3, which was just announced. This is yet more changes to the Legends of the Dead DLC, some updates, some balancing, and also some bug fixes as well. And we're just going to get straight into it. So the first part, as always, is game content. Legend chapters will now change in response to players' actions, winning a battle, a siege, being released from prison, taking vows, etc. So I believe this is in addition to the things that already happen. I have noticed from time to time when you have an event and you kind of choose an option to get added to the legend chapter, sometimes it doesn't actually go in there. So I don't know if this is fully just new content or also a bug fix at the same time, but I think it's a little bit of both. But either way, it's a win. That system in itself is so cool, like the living story of your legend, and adding additional chapters and things like that is just awesome. No complaints about this. Added more variations to legend titles. The next one though, you are now alerted to when a new legend enters your realm. This is actually a really good change because you didn't really notice unless you're obviously looking at the legend map mode, or if I guess like a neighboring ruler came to you and said, would you want to spread my legend? That pretty often made me like look at the legend UI just to say like, oh, well, they must have one. I wonder how big it is. But now you're actually going to get a little alert, I guess the same as diseases, showing off like, oh, a legend has entered your realm. And then I guess you can decide whether you want to sponsor it and things like that as well. Winning a Great Holy War now offers a chance to get a Holy Warrior Legend Seed. Another fantastic change, especially as it's a Great Holy War. It's kind of surprising this wasn't in before, but again, another way to get one of these Legend Seeds is always cool. Added a Legitimacy modifier to the Writing History perk. Another cool thing to see. Them again going back to older content and kind of adding new systems into that older content. Obviously, there were a few of these that had already been changed, but the Writing History perk does make sense to have a Legitimacy modifier. Shy and reclusive characters now have a higher plague resistance. I mean, I guess this makes sense. Obviously, if you're role-playing or if you're thinking as your character is, if you were shy or reclusive, I guess you would kind of stay back from people. I guess it would increase your plague resistance, so I kind of see this does make sense. It also makes shy and reclusive that tiny bit better. Having a shy character is probably the most annoying to have, so I guess it does kind of make up for that a tiny little bit. Nothing too crazy though. The next one is an awesome change. The capitals of rulers with high level legends will now become points of interest when visiting during travel. So this is awesome. Like if you have a tier 3 mythic legend, then when people travel through your capital, they will now get a point of interest boost as well, which is cool. It kind of very thematic that if you were such a legend of the time, that people visiting your capital would be kind of in awe of it. And then the last one for game content is added a player legend library, which contains completed legends. Again, this is really cool. Legends in player libraries never fade, even if their bonus giving reach has decayed to 0 provinces, so you just can always see it. Legends you own or are actively promoting are automatically added. Completed legends that reached your domain are automatically added, so not even ones that you did yourself. It looks like if somebody else's comes into your realm and they complete it, you will keep this in your library of past legends in your realm. You can remove legends from your library at will. Beware though that you might not be able to get them back, so I guess if you do just want it to be legends that you made, you could just have it as your personal legend library, and you can kind of delete the ones that just traveled into your realm. You can add distant completed legends to your library if you're traveling in lands that a legend has reached. Again, this is awesome. So if you're going through France and they've got the heirs of Charlemagne, you can actually add that back to your library when you get back home and say, oh, I heard about the legend of Charlemagne. I'm going to put it in my library so I can look back in the future and be like, oh, remember that legend? This is awesome. I really like this. This is a really cool addition. Your legend library persists on inheritance and character switching. I mean, that just makes sense because otherwise, like, what's the point of it if it just went after you died? But yeah, inheritance or character switching, which is a bit more of a surprise. I guess it takes out from your dynasty remembering stories to like the player remembering stories at that point. But for most players, I guess that doesn't matter. But if you're more of a role player, I guess you could look at it that way, kind of detaching it from the game a little bit with character switching. Although I would imagine if you're role playing a lot, you're probably not character switching a whole deal. But anyway, that is all the game content. Awesome additions and changes there. The next bit is interface. Improve the legend window interface. Completed legends now take up less space. It's funny, every time we get a new UI in this game, it always tends to be like one size that's slightly too big. And then in a patch shortly after, they always condense it down a little bit. It's funny, like it's happened definitely more than once. So it is funny that they still do it this way, but it doesn't matter at the end of the day. Having it take up less space is fantastic, especially for myself. Like when I'm making videos for the channel, I have to have the UI like blown up so you guys can see it on mobile and things like that. So yeah, some of the UIs get really like packed. So hopefully this will help with some things like that. Obviously not an issue that you all deal with, but especially for myself, it's a very good change. And then, to be honest, the next few are all just about the Legend UI being a lot better. So it's now clickable are the headers. The Chronicle window has now got a clearer scroll bar and a nameplate for the protagonist. The Legend Chronicle portrait animation is now based on the Chronicle type. Oh, it is now also animated to remember how they were in life. Oh, that's an interesting change. So I guess the portrait animation based on the Chronicle type. So I guess maybe if it's holy, it's like glowing and things like that, like with a holy light, I guess. And then they're also animated. I'm not sure. I quite like that they were static pictures, but I haven't actually seen it in game yet, but I'm sure it looks cool anyway. And then the next two, again, just kind of Legend UI improvements. And then the last bit is bug fixes. Really quick here, nothing too crazy, to be honest. Just clarified some tooltips. Legend protagonist portraits no longer show the character in their nightgown, so you're actually going to be clothed. If they had the misfortune of dying while ill, dead protagonists from old games might still be in their 90s, so more of a funny one, really, I guess. And they're always going to be clothed properly in the protagonist portraits, which, again, just a bug fix, really. And then observers, for those of you who like AI onlys, get a nicer Legend listing. That's just all it says. Just a bit of a nicer UI list. And that's it, guys. Like I said, just a really quick video. I wanted to cover the patch, mainly for the Legends improvements. They're really cool. And then the Legends library is really cool. Just a little addition out of nowhere that actually makes a lot of sense and is nice just to get as a little bonus for that system, just to make it even better than it already is. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Any changes that you like, dislike, all that kind of stuff. And obviously, if you've made it this far, hit that like button, you've enjoyed the video today, and subscribe if you are new here. I cover Crusader Kings, covering a lot of Project Caesar / EU5 on the channel as well this year. But I do also play other historical strategy games as well. But we'll leave it there for today, and I'll see you in the next one.